Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Women in Construction 2024 as we feature Dana Petitt, Regional Credit Manager with Gulf Eagle Supply. Congratulations, Dana, on being recognized as a Handle Woman in Construction.
Thank you very much. I'm quite pleased with that. It's a lovely honor, and I'm humbled.
It's very well deserved. So let's just start easy. Who do you work for?
I work for a company called Gulf Eagle Supply, which is a family-owned business that started here in Florida, and what we call our branch support center is here in Tampa, Florida. It's a nationwide company. We have over 100 locations, and it's nationwide. It's a really good company to work for. The family is here and active in the business, which I think makes a difference.
What do you do on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, between my phone in the office, my cell phone, my internal computer system, and my email system, I'm constantly fielding either questions or requests for anything from lien waivers to setting up jobs to giving payoff amounts to working with attorneys if we have files that are on legal to communicating with the branches all day long, in and out, for things like, hey, can you look at this account? Can we get some more money and do a review? To, hey, can you figure out why I can't get more money on this job account? Do I need to increase the limit, or is it on hold? Or did you see that email that I sent you yesterday that I need you to reconstruct something for me? It could be anything, but most of it is communication, response back and forth to make someone else's job move along a little faster, a little smoother while I'm trying to do my own job. It's funny. There are certain times of the year that it's a little bit quiet, like around Christmas time and around New Year's. That's kind of quiet, and that's the time that we tend to say, okay, I've got some specific time that I can work on review lines to see which customers kind of need an update or a review. We do that on a daily basis, but we have more time to really dig in deep around the quiet times, and there aren't many of those.
So I'm sure you enjoy it when there are.
It's a little nice to have that pace where you can just dig in and say, oh, let me look at this and go over here and do a little reading and a little research. That's kind of nice.
So how long have you been in the construction industry?
I'm going to leave it at 30 plus years. It's more than 35. And I started when I was really young, out of college. I had 1 year of teaching after I graduated from college. And then I kind of it started out as a part-time job for the summer, and it actually turned into a full-time career.
What drew you into construction?
I was working for Lowe's companies. That was my part-time job.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to be my summer job in between teaching. And I got an opportunity to become an assistant credit manager at one of the original Lowe's stores. I'm from North Carolina. So it was one of the original stores, and it was store number 11 in the company, which later became a pro yard, when they called the contractor yard.
Okay.
And I stayed with Lowe's for about 7 or 8 years. And when I left, I was a credit manager. I had been an assistant credit manager, an office manager, and then the credit manager. And it was what brought me into credit. I worked with a lady. She didn't even stand 5 feet tall. And she was a powerhouse. I loved her. Her name was Jane Ratliff Massey, and she taught me the ins and outs and the rules of credit as they applied. Because back then you had computers, but a lot of the things that you needed to do manually. You needed to know how to reconcile an account.
Right.
And she was tremendous. And I've been in credit ever since.
It helps when you have a mentor like that.
It does. It really does.
So you mentioned teaching a couple times. What did you teach before you came into credit?
I taught French, economics, and government.
Wow.
I was teaching to ninth graders.
Oh, Man, you had it hard.
It was something. It was really something. I could tell you stories and you'd be laughing all day, but it was a really good experience for working in credit.
Yeah. So, is there anything in your career that you're most proud of?
I am proud of a couple of things in particular. One of them is all of the fields that I've been able to kind of touch. I've worked in point of sale credit. I have worked in distribution credit. I've worked in manufacturing, and I've worked in factoring. I've had exposure to all of those things. So I feel like it gave me an opportunity to learn a lot of facets of credit extension.
It helps when you know the different departments and what other people are doing and how your position relates with theirs.
I think it does, and it makes a difference when you can sort of understand what came before your job and what's going to come after your job, especially during COVID and all of the delays and the horrific issues that every company faced, whether they were on the manufacturing side because they didn't have enough workers and employees to stay on schedule, to distribution, not being able to tell people when things were going to arrive, to the end user because they couldn't plan their jobs because they weren't sure how long it was going to take, when it was going to start, when it was going to stop. And that's a huge, it's an emotional struggle for people, not just financial. But the not knowing is really hard.
That was a rough time.
It was a bad time. Yeah, it was.
So, being in an industry that people still think is the good old boys, is it hard to be a woman?
Not if you have a great sense of humor.
Oh, there you go. I hadn't heard that one yet.
You have to have a great sense of humor. The older you get, the more natural it becomes. And one of the things that has helped me over the years, I'm very blessed that most of the customers and the employees, the team that works at Gulf Eagle, almost all of them are wonderful, charming people. We have good relationships. On that rare occasion when someone is not nice, if it's on the phone, the best answer is usually just a pause, a silence. Because if they're upset, they just need to vent, they need to let go of whatever it is they need to tell you. So we let them. If it's in an email, it's definitely okay. I'm going to read that a couple times and I'm going to make sure before I answer it, I read my side. Am I happy with that? I mean, when it comes to an email, my response has always been, I assume that the owner of my company will read my email. I don't think he will, but it should be written in a way that you wouldn't be upset if he did.
Definitely. So, as a woman in construction, do you feel like there's any perks?
The biggest perk I would probably say is if I were to say the experience with learning, especially as it relates to the law. In order to do what we do every day, we're constantly reading, we're constantly researching, we're constantly checking. That's helped me on more than one occasion when it was something else in my life that I needed to learn, whether it was calling a doctor's office or checking on something that I wanted to purchase or going in really quickly to find websites to find an answer for something. My job has helped me a lot to learn the ins and outs of how to get things done and how to find an answer. Because half of being a credit manager is being a detective.
I completely agree. Definitely more ways than one, like you said.
Isn't it?
So, is there anything you think the construction industry could do to attract more women?
I think we're doing a lot better. I'm always excited to see things like women in roofing, women in construction, women in the auto industry. They're making a point to try to bring more women into what used to be considered a man's world. I mean, I've known a lot of credit managers in my life, some of them men, some of them women. And I think that in general, women tend to bring a lot of detail to their jobs. We listen for the small things. Sometimes it's not what is said, it's what isn't said. Um, I would like to see the industry have more events for women. But I think that's coming. I think that's happening now.
I think so too. There's some associations that are specifically doing networking events for women
Which is
all
a
over the
great
place.
thing because there will come a time when some jobs, they just aren't the first thing that people think about. And it's not a job that someone wouldn't do. It's just a job that someone doesn't know about.
Exactly.
If you're someone who pays attention to detail, you cannot do this job if you're not detail oriented, if you're not willing to think outside of the box at times, but you do have to follow rules. I mean, there are just certain guidelines that we all try never to break. You learn the law, you stay in the law,
Yeah.
and you make sure that you've done what your company's asked of you. Stay in contact with all of the parties that are involved in a project, and it usually works out really well.
Well, do you have any advice or wisdom that you would like to share with the new generation?
The only thing that I can think of is enjoy the ride. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of parts of this job that are extremely fulfilling. Some of them are really stressful and very challenging, but the more you do the job, the less stressful it is. Does that make sense?
It does, and I love that. Enjoy the ride.
Nobody wants a job that they're unhappy
Right.
with doing.
Yep.
We want
Absolutely.
a job that makes us feel like we were successful, or we had a good day, or we helped somebody, or somebody helped us, or gee, I learned something today. And sometimes life doesn't give you always that second chance. Don't miss the opportunity when it comes your way. If somebody says, oh, I'd like to try that, or hey, did you do that? Or hey, can we find out about it? Be willing to say yes.
I like the way you put that. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us and congratulations on being a woman in construction for 2024.
Thank you so much, Lori. I always appreciate talking with you.
You too. Have a great afternoon.